chit chat, patty whack, give Jake a bone.
Yeah, I haven't drank enough milk lately.
Honestly?
Yeah? You got it?
Okay,
Wow.
cool. I mean,
all
I was
right.
just confirming that you were being honest.
Oh, no, that was a question. Okay, so that's on me then. Okay, no, that's totally, I read the situation wrong. That's on me. I'm sorry, I'm just so low on my calcium. I almost said potassium. That's bananas.
Is banana milk a thing?
How do you milk a banana?
So there
With
are
love.
actually all I can think of. You know what? No, we don't need to get into this.
No,
This
but
is
I'm very curious.
I
actually.
do want to know what you were going to say.
very
We can
curious.
move on, but I do have to know what you were going to say.
Yeah.
I started thinking about there is a machine for making nut milk.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It's
called
called
like
my
the
It's called my
hand.
hand.
Oh!
Oh! Hey, good joke, Jake.
Good joke,
set
Alex.
you guys
No
up.
notes, no notes.
Hit it out the park. And it just like, I don't know, it just like grinds up nuts and like squeezes them or whatever.
It's called my hand. Oh, really?
And like you could put a banana in it if you really wanted to.
Wow.
You could put anything in it.
Yeah.
So what makes a milk then? Like, what's the point? What are we doing
Dude,
here?
I don't know. That's why I said we can move on.
What are we doing here,
Well,
man?
I think. Yeah, Matt, what's happening?
Well, hello and welcome back. We're the Tough Gut Podcast. And this is a podcast that we do. And my name is Matthew.
I'm Alex.
Milk.
Milk.
Oh, milk. Get
Milk.
this man a glass of milk. Internet humor from the early 2000s. That's a little throwback for all
Julian
you
Smith.
oldies out there. Yeah, goddamn. Talented guy.
He came back.
Yeah, he was doing some other
From
stuff.
where?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that.
Anyway, before we get even further out of the realms of reasonable here, this is episode 93, part 3.
Feels like
Of
we've been in the
the-
90s for a long time. Yeah.
Well, it has been a month.
Yeah, part 3 of the Jake bracket.
Yeah, this is the Jake bracket. Jake picked all of these movies, which means every conversation we have today is technically his fault.
Okay.
true.
That's one way to frame it. It could be like every conversation is opportunity to know Jake better in his brain.
Anyway, so as Alex said, every conversation here is in fact Jake's fault.
Okay.
Coming at you in today's episode, we've got the Muppets versus The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Then the second half of the episode, we've got One Cut of the Dead versus Coherence.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Or,
good.
not
It
Coherence,
wasn't.
in and of
I was
itself.
gonna say,
wow, how did
yeah.
I fuck that up?
Well, you got to redo it now.
Jake
And
two, slate.
in the second half of the episode, we've got One Cut of the Dead versus In and of Itself.
Wow, I'm surprised it's not Coherence.
You know, there's probably another universe where it was Coherence, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they did the red lights.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah,
The
we're
red glow
the...
sticks.
Do you think we're a red, green, blue glow stick world? Like which world are we?
I think we're a green glow stick world, and I think
I do.
our item in the box was a pair of scissors.
Scissors? I would like the ping pong paddle.
But a different universe did that. We can't do that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jake. Are you trying to say you're part of that universe?
No, that'd be stupid.
Wait, Jake, what's your number?
Um,
We're not even talking about this movie this week.
well,
it's just one of those
spoilers
movies.
for Coherence and for the rest of the movies. In
There's a
this
ping pong
bracket.
paddle in that
There's
movie.
ping pong paddle, and there's old, alternate universe. No one knows what that movie's about.
It's like Primer.
Oh God, God, man, we're not on the Matthew bracket. I told
what a
you.
chaotic energy we have today.
Anyway,
Just hearing Primer really set me off. Oh God!
yeah, as Jake said, spoilers, and then also
Don't steal my job by confirming that I did my job.
we're so combative today. There's a couple of guys.
We're ready to fight.
We're just normal men.
We have healthy views of masculinity.
We're just innocent men. I guess I gotta introduce the movies.
Yeah, Jake, you're the only one with things to say.
Yeah, literally by law.
Literally, usually that's how it goes. Am I right, listeners?
You're right.
I don't know.
Did we do this? I forgot we did that special. Yeah, if you guys follow us on our social medias at Tough Cup Pod, we're on all the top social medias. We actually have a live listener who's sitting in our studio right now, sitting in on the bracket. We call it an intern.
Hi.
We told you not to speak.
Sorry, sir.
You're just supposed to work the sound equipment.
Yeah.
So like, don't do that.
Oh shit, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. For you guys' reference, I'm going to edit in some sort of sound effect there.
I hate our intern. I mean, but follow us on social media, because you could get that opportunity.
I can't believe how much setup you did to make that joke just because I, in a little echo voice, said, "You're right."
Yeah, Hey, we yes and
Whoa,
here
whoa,
in this
whoa.
household.
Man behind the curtain. What the hell are you doing, Alex?
Fuck, sorry, guys, sorry.
Keep this feeling real, okay? We're really on a roll. So, Jake, if you want to dive into...
real,
Sorry, I know I went
Muppets-
off script.
Speaking of real, The Muppets 2011 by James Bobin, or as my autocorrect likes to call it, Tobin Bell. Yeah, it's about a Muppet fanatic with some getting some help from two human compatriots, and they must regroup and save the Muppet gang, who has since broken up in this world, but their old studio is going to be taken over by an evil oil mogul. So they got to get the band back together, including Jack Black.
The rest of the Muppets, too.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good joke. I like that joke.
Thanks. Thank you.
That's a big joke. It's going up against Benjamin Button, Against All Odds. Curious Case of Benjamin Button, 2008, directed by
Isn't
David
Against All
Fincher.
Odds. Both of you voted for Benjamin Button.
I forgot what universe I'm in.
This Jake is from the universe where we both voted for Benjamin
Sorry, I
Button.
think I just remember you in episode 2 talking about one of the movies I pitched, and you're like, yeah, much better than Benjamin Button. And I was like, what? It's not even up against this movie. So I think I already am like getting combative again about this. Whatever, it's fine. Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Benjamin Button, he's a dude whose ages backwards, and he has shenanigans, a la Forrest Gump. That's your... Yeah, that was pretty good.
Better than Forrest Gump.
Thank you. I'll take that. That's a win. That's a dub.
Yeah, anyway, so this is a tough matchup. I think some of the conceit of this bracket, actually this podcast in general, dates back to Jake asking like the idea of like what movies do X or what movies describe you, and like the Muppets as a genre type are hugely a huge piece of defining who Jake is. But then also The Curious Case of Benjamin Button is like one of those films that you have long used to like describe parts of yourself, which just like inherently is like an upward battle in parsing these two movies against each other.
Yeah, I agree. This is a really tough one, like, because I think face value, how in the hell do you compare The Curious Case of Benjamin Button versus Muppets 2011, right? Like, they're so wildly different. And even looking at them in the scope of like, okay, these are movies that define Jake, they do so in very different ways. Like, Benjamin Button is a movie that Jake for a long time has said is like one of his movies, right? It's on his list. But I think, it takes like some very deep thought to understand why it's on his list and understand why it's such an important movie to him, versus The Muppets is like, it's a Muppets movie and it's a really good Muppets movie. And it's like very obvious right away that Jake loves it. Like if you see it, you'd be like, oh, I bet Jake would love this movie. And so they're very different in that way.
What if Kermit aged backwards?
He does. That's actually his trick.
I can't tell if that's actual Muppet lore or not. Because last time Jake dropped the knowledge bomb, like, oh yeah, he fucks chickens, and I'm just like,
that's true. Gonzo does canonically fuck chickens.
And I looked it up, and it's like there's like a 15-page long.
Let's go.
Yeah, there's like a 15-page long like Muppet wiki entry about all the various chickens he's dated and how it's a long-running joke, and I'm like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, there's like even like a ad, like Disney will take out an ad. I think it was for Muppets Haunted Mansion or something, and Gonzo's like up in front. And the ad basically like they're going over their favorite. It's like one of those wired like your favorite Disney princesses. Like ask fill-in questions. I don't remember the exact format, but it's Gonzo and Pepe, and Pepe and Gonzo are like, oh, like which Disney prince would be your favorite? Like, would you like to be with? And they're going through pictures of them, and Gonzo gets to Beast. And he's like, well, we all know how I feel about animals. And then he just stares at them.
Oh my God. That's like
so good.
That's like degenerate energy from Disney, honestly. That's good.
Like, for real, that probably was just like an improvised line by
100%.
By Gonzo.
It's so good.
Yeah, by Gonzo.
Yeah, Gonzo.
That's wild. And weirdly enough, actually, now that I'm like sitting here thinking about it, there is like a world where I think there could be a Muppets adaptation of Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
It probably would be Gonzo as Benjamin Button, though. I think
I'll say it has the structure of like there's a lead character and it's kind of like it's going through his life and he like meets up with a bunch of different people who go in and out. Like I feel like that's a big Muppet structure, where they just kind of make like cameos in different roles.
Yeah. Yeah, like I could just like it kind of makes sense to me. And honestly, audience, it may not make sense to you. And that's okay. You're just not on the same
This is the episode
frequency.
we lose listeners, actually. This is the episode where we finally drop our viewership.
They're like, this episode started off with them talking about fucking chickens, and then they went into making Curious Case of Benjamin Button a Muppet adaptation. I don't jibe with that, dude.
No, that's not my thing. Look, I've realized now, thinking about these like now semifinals and finals, and now it's less me gushing about these movies and me trying to have like an existential crisis as to why I picked them and why they define me and what does it mean to have one of them define me more than the others, because they're all me. But
yeah, it was all you all the way down,
all the way down. But now I'm like, how do I vote accordingly from here on out? It could be just how I'm feeling on the day. Like yesterday was Mardi Gras parade, and they had Muppets from Space in it. So
wow, really?
Yeah, it was really
cool. Chewbacca's rocks.
I love Chewbacca's, man. Love Chewbacca's. And if you guys don't know what that means, give it a Google, give it a Bing, give it a Yahoo.
I actually have a sticker sticker from Chewbacca's on my water bottle, and it's an alien looking into a mirror, and it says, "I want to believe in myself."
Holy shit.
That's cute.
Chewbacca's is like one of my favorite parades. It's so fun.
Why are we
Because you were looking up your notes that you had about what you wanted to say for the Muppets.
Matt,
we were filling time for you. You said you wanted to say that thing. You're like,
what was that big conversation you told us before recording that you wanted to bring up? What was it?
What was that thing?
Buy me like 10 more seconds.
All right, what was that big conversation? There was a big conversation that you were telling us about that you wanted. What was that big conversation? I'm just going to keep saying big conversation.
Yeah, that thing that I thought was really, really important to get on.
You said if you can't get this out in this episode, you're going to end the podcast.
If anything, you said like it would help me out. You're like, I know Jake's been going through a really tough time lately. Like he's been really sad. We'll give him a bracket and we'll crunch the numbers so we get this as a semifinal matchup. There's a lot of behind the scenes tomfoolery that went around. But you said when we get to this matchup, there'd be a really, really important, life-changing thing you were going to say to me.
Matt is like frantically scrolling through his notes, being like, "Please, anything."
He's actually probably just reading like
anything
Gonzo X Carmilla the Chicken fan fiction.
No, I am literally desperately scrolling my notes from the movies, just being like, "Oh God, find something, find something."
Just say the first sentence you see right now.
Walter's little scream is very cute.
I know what I'm voting for. Come on.
It's just so tough
cute that you put that in.
It just really struck me. It's just so tough for me to find like a really good point of conversation to like compare these movies on, which I know is like the whole point of our podcast. So like just like cutting it to brass tacks here.
Yeah.
Like functionally as films.
Mm.
How do we feel about them? How do we feel as far as like what they like achieving what they set out to achieve? You know, obviously Benjamin Button is like a fair, well, I guess in a weird way, both of these are kind of character study-ish. Like one's obviously primarily a musical, but like you are like diving into the psyche of, or like following, you know, Walter on his self-discovery, becoming a Muppet, and then also just like, you know, you're chilling with Ben B as he's like living his life, you know.
I'd like to believe that's how he pitched the movie. You guys are just
Ben B.
You guys chilling with
that
Ben
was actually
B.
that was the original title. They it didn't really resonate with audiences though. They decided to change it.
Well, I also think of both these movies, and something I give both of them a lot of credit for is because both of them, in their own way, was a departure or like a return to kind of like some kind of form. Like David Fincher, known for much moodier, like, you know, serial killer movies. I mean, like it was Zodiac, it was Seven before this, it was like all those. But then he did this lighthearted, based on a novel, like just. I mean, it is emotional. Don't get me wrong. It's not necessarily lighthearted. A lot of death around. A lot of talking about
but
grief
compared
and all
to
that.
a lot of Fincher's other work,
it's totally very different. And I always applaud people for making something that's kind of out of their wheelhouse, or like kind of expanding their horizons. And with the Muppets, on a similar level, you hadn't had a Muppet movie since like I think Muppets Christmas Carol was like the last one, like a big theatrical production, and doing an original Muppet movie again, not based on adaptation, and have it be this successful, that's amazing. And like bringing the Muppets back in a mainstream audience, I mean, that's something the Muppets always do. And
his comeback,
the comeback's big, and it was a comeback that I got to experience for the first time as an adult. When I knew the Muppet movies, I was like a little kid, or the Muppets, but finally as like an older person, I was like, whoa, the Muppets are back. And that felt really good.
You know, what's kind of interesting about the Muppets and how I think about you related to them, and I think, Matt, it might be similar for you as well. I really had no connection to the Muppets as a kid. Like, I truly never really watched any of the Muppet adaptations. Like, I knew of them, but was never like a fan of them in any way. And I saw this movie and I liked it as a kid, but was never still like a big Muppets fan. And so I didn't really like get excited about the Muppets until you talked to me about the Muppets. And I was like, oh shit, Jake loves the Muppets. And so like, to me, you are the Muppet person. Like when I think of the Muppets, there is only one person in my life that I know who loves the Muppets, like truly to their core. And so like intrinsically, every Muppet movie is attached to you now.
You know, sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes sometimes I'm like, for every like birthday or every gift thing, I always get like a Muppet thing, and I'm like, you know, guys, this is how people become like that person, you know? Like there's nowhere. Like, I have other interests. I do love the Muppets, but oh my god. I appreciate all the gifts. They're very thoughtful. But if I get another just like life-size Kermit like plush doll, I don't need it.
Hey,
I don't need it. This is a PSA.
Question. Your birthday just happened. Do you have a Kermit the Frog watch?
I don't have a Kermit the Frog watch. No, I don't.
What do you mean? What?
I don't have a Kermit the Frog watch. But literally, for an example, I got 2 Kermit the Frog like stuff, like puppets for the same year, and they all look drastically different too, because like it's
Hey Jake, what size is your wrist?
Matthew size.
Okay, and Jake, what's your address?
My address is 15.
Okay, cool.
And that's it. Yeah. Cool. Send it over.
Would you say you have a kid-sized wrist?
I don't think so. I'd like to believe
good.
I don't know. That's
okay.
They're
no,
small.
No, you're good. You're good. I'll find something else.
Oh. Matthew's still in intense thought. I really hope we've been still filling this time for him. This
Yes,
big thing he's gonna say. I'm
Literally
really
putting
hoping.
all the pressure in the world on me to come up with an actual topic of conversation. I am lost in the goddamn sauce over here. Like,
Okay, let's separate from Jake for a second. I don't know why I did this. It's like I was opening up an ass, but let's separate. It's not a visual medium. They don't know what I'm gonna do. Let's separate from Jake for a second. Which movie do y'all like more, and why?
The Muppets. I like the Muppets more.
That's what I asked. Like,
I know, but you didn't say anything.
that's true. No one answered the question when I asked it before. I think for me, it's tough. I think just like as a film, I think I prefer Muppets 2011 over The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. There's like a lot of complicated stuff at play. Some of it I think is like my own preconceptions of like what type of work I enjoy from David Fincher, what I enjoy most from David Fincher.
It's very fair.
I think some of it is also just like getting to see this Muppets movie for the first time in the context of this bracket was like a really enjoyable experience. So that is also like coloring my perception a little bit. I'm much more bright on it as a result of like, I get to watch this for Jake who loves this movie. And that's just like really fun.
Yeah, I generally agree with that. I think it's very smart to put the Muppets in a getting the band back together story structure because they're all so wacky and weird. They legitimately could be anywhere doing anything. And so it just provides like this beautiful blank canvas for them to put these characters wherever they want, doing whatever they want, which I think is really good.
Like, be it like toilet salesman or be it, you know, an editor for what is Miss Piggy, an editor for like a fashion magazine or something in France. Like, it like makes sense for the Muppets characters, which is like a weird statement to make because inherently, like, they're a goddamn Muppet. You can, you know, you can say they're whatever you want. But it just like fits. Like, if you are to presuppose the Muppets are all like real beings, like,
what do you mean by
Muppets
that?
2011. Hey Jake, can you take your headphones off for a second?
Yeah, I got you.
Alex, Jake still thinks that the Muppets are like Kermit's real.
Yeah.
And not just a puppet.
Yeah, I know. I meant to tell you before we were recording. I don't think we should break to him.
I can put it. I'm good. I actually took them off.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you said. That'll be a little treat for me later. I really hope it was something nice, you know?
Yeah, it was something really nice. Jake, don't worry about it.
It was one of like the moments where I could take a break, you know? So I took the opportunity to do so.
Got a snack.
But kind of as I was saying, like them as real beings, you know, hold up, Jake, you know, just like assuming, pretending, and not pretending, like they are real.
Matt, hey, Jake, hey, Jake, just make some noise over there so you can't hear us.
Yeah.
Matt, you're really blowing it.
I know. I'm really screwing it up. I just
let me take over.
You got it.
Okay, Jake, you're good.
Yeah.
So the Muppets as real beings and creatures with total autonomy and able to move on their own without any external support from human hands.
Well, humans, I mean, it's okay if you need support from human hands. We all need support from human hands.
That's true. And they get that support, but they don't need it 100% of the time to be autonomous creatures.
Yep.
Yeah. Like Walter just needs his brother's help sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
sometimes
also,
Amy
he can
Adams.
do things on his own too, like how he opens the door on his own.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen you guys open doors on your own. Does that make you better or worse?
Jake,
than
what genre do you think the Muppets is? Is it a documentary in your opinion?
You know, whenever I watch Muppet movies, I just think they're like, the genre is Muppet movie. I'll be completely honest. Because they do too many, like, I guess you could just comedy, whatever, but I guess documentary. No, not a mockumentary. It's a coming of age story.
Honestly,
it super is.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's like a coming of age story for
Jason
both
Segel's
Walter
old
and
ass.
Jason Segel's character as well, like this grown ass, which is a rare type of coming of age story that I think is really fun. Like grown ass man coming of age story is like it's an underappreciated genre.
Usually cringy as hell.
Yeah, usually adult coming of age stories are really dumb and cringy, and they're like the really bad, like dumb humor, like David Spade movies.
What do you have against David Spade?
Well, no, I don't have anything against David Spade, but it's like, he has a specific.
You loved Joe
humor.
Dirt, didn't you? Is that going to be in your Alex
Yeah,
bracket?
how'd you know? My bracket, Joe Dirt.
That was the first David Spade movie I could think of. I don't know. What do you want from me? Name another. I can't.
Was he in one of the I can't think of
exactly.
Where
he's one of the fucking Sandler friends.
He was in kid.
Okay, but what is a David Spade movie? Like a David Spade is a main character, the main character.
I'm gonna Google David Spade movie, and if you guys can tell me the first one that comes up, I'll give you $10.
Benchwarmers is probably up there, honestly.
The first one,
the highest
David Spade,
Joe Dirt, baby.
Oh my God! You will never believe what Google says is the first one.
What is it?
I need one guess from each of you.
Oh, okay. So it's probably not Joe Dirt.
I'm going with Benchwarmers.
Benchwarmers? Okay.
Joe Dirt 2.
It's Hotel Transylvania is the first David Spade movie.
Way. Come on, man.
I bet that I'm gonna go. I want to look it up. I want to feel like there is some kind of your browsing history playing a role in that. You down bad for Hotel Transylvania?
Where are we right now? Where the fuck are we?
Well, so these other movies I haven't heard of.
Yeah, what are they?
The Wrong Missy.
Dude, we are falling down the David Spade hole right now. We're falling into his trap.
The third one looks like some action movie called Warning Shot. It's on the Roku channel.
The Spade, we're in the Spade-verse and there's no escaping it. Audience, this is the Spade zone.
Welcome to the Spade cast.
Please skip ahead approximately 2 minutes to escape the Spade zone.
Now we gotta fill 2 minutes of David Spade content.
Or Alex can take that and put it at the beginning of the David Spade conversation.
I think it's longer than 2 minutes.
Yeah, but how funny is it to skip ahead 2 minutes and they're still talking about it?
We're gonna have to put Joe Dirt in a bracket. Did Joe Dirt come out last year? I'm just asking.
What the fuck are you talking about?
For our Oscars bracket.
Wait,
spoilers,
automatically.
And we do it every year.
Okay, we have to get this podcast back on track. We cannot be stuck in the Spade zone.
Matt, we have another minute. We have another minute in the Spade zone.
10 seconds, please.
Oh my God. Okay.
What comes up for you when you Google David Spade movie, Matt?
I don't know. I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
All right, David
Did you look up David Spade movie or just David Spade?
I said David Spade hole.
I Googled David Spade movie.
Okay, David Spade movie.
David Spade singles in your area.
I'll be damned.
Wow.
Hotel Transylvania?
Hotel Transylvania Transformania is the first
and that was
movie
last year.
Yeah.
Guys. We can have
that one was really bad. That was the Amazon Prime movie.
Did you watch it?
So I'll say I typically I did watch it. I typically have enjoyed the Hotel Transylvania movies. Like I think they're like surprisingly pretty good. This one was terrible.
I will want. I'm sorry to add more David Spade content, but it's more of a thing when you look them up on IMDb to see what their known for movies are. And if you look up David Spade, even before clicking it, it says actor, Joe Dirt, 2001. We can ignore what that means, but
Oh, The Emperor's New Groove. That's one.
That's the fourth on IMDb. It's Joe Dirt, Tommy Boy, Benchwarmers, and The Emperor's New Groove.
That's a good one.
Okay, I feel pretty good about having guessed Benchwarmers now.
Well, too bad.
You shouldn't feel good about any David Spade movie, even if they're like good.
We're doing a David Spade bracket now.
Oh,
You fucked yourself. Like we have to.
Great. Are we voting?
For the best David Spade movie in a couple months? Yeah, probably.
We've talked about nothing for 30 minutes.
Okay, here's something I actually will say that I was going to say before Matthew derailed us. Usually he does.
Yeah, okay.
Who brought up David Spade?
Not me!
Truthfully, I don't remember. The only thing I do remember is that Matt ushered us into the David Spade zone.
He did. You did coin the term David Spade zone. So that is on you.
The Spade zone's on me. I did not bring up David Spade. We cannot get stuck here. Jake, take it away. What's your point?
I was going to say something serious.
I can't believe Matt banished us to the Spade zone.
That's really...
You've activated my trap card, and now you've been sentenced to the Spade zone for the next 2 minutes.
Ironically, a fate
Pot
worse
of
than
greed.
death. This is the longest 2 minutes of my life.
Hey, we're being so rude to David Spade right now.
Okay.
I think we've been in the Spade zone for 4 minutes.
Anyway, Matthew said something 8 years ago during this episode where he said that you said, I watched the Muppets and I can't take away the fact that I watched it because of like you with the context for the first time. In my opinion, and not to influence, I mean, look, I'm trying to take as much step backs during the Jake bracket until the end of when we vote to talk about them because, you know, it's more fun for y'all to talk about it. I do love showing people things and I do love their experience with them. And if it is about me, then like your movie going experience is important to me, even if it's just your experience. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
So even if like we're talking about, oh, what is the more Jake movie? What is the more like it is? What is the more Jake movie? But also like what would Jake movie also means? Did you have a fun time watching that crazy ass movie? That's also part of it. So if that helps you in your decision, that's what I offer you.
Well, I'm ready to vote.
Okay, then
Okay.
do it.
I'm voting for the Muppets.
Seeing as Jake did not put any David Spade movies in this bracket, I am also going to vote for the Muppets.
I wouldn't be surprised if he popped up in a Muppet movie. Has like Adam Sandler, has any of that crew? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We're not on David Spade. Does not matter. I'm giving a vote to Curious Case of Benjamin Button because all these movies deserve a vote. But the Muppets will be moving on
to our finale.
Wow.
We'll find out which movie is going to replace Jake.
Wait,
on the podcast.
Oh, okay. I'm fine with that. I'll take
all of
time
Jake's
off.
audio replaced with audio from one of these future movies.
I'm gonna make it the most hard movie to get like licensing to. It's probably the Muppets, honestly.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, expensive IP. With that said, jumping to the other side of this matchup, do you want to go ahead and introduce In and of Itself and One Cut of the Dead?
I do. In and of Itself is directed by Frank Oz, but really created by Derek Del Guadio in 2020. Derek is a magician who tells an autobiographical story through his tricks and just through talking, I guess, orally to an audience. Why do you make... Anyway, he gives a performance, a stage show, and it's recorded. It's listed as a documentary. It's more like you're watching like a theater performance. I feel like hectic. I don't know. Like I feel like.
I'm sorry. My whole brain got thrown off when you said when he was speaking, and then it was like a semicolon orally.
There are other ways to speak, Matthew. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I feel like Matt's brain is broken. It was shattered as he crawled out of the spade hole.
I do feel different.
We exited from a green glow stick universe to like we're now
just
like
in Coherence.
So Coherence is on the other side.
The Tough Cut Podcast's version of the like dark space is the spade hole.
The thing in our box in this universe is in fact a copy of Joe Dirt from 2001.
A side DVD box commentary of Joe Dirt. Yeah, I really got into character when I was Joe Dirt. Anyway, One Cut of the Dead is what it's up against by Shinichiro Ueda. But in 2017, it is a low budget zombie film disguised as a comedy, disguised as a low budget comedy film, disguised as a comedy. It's great. A lot of layers, that one. That's basically the two movies that we're going up against. And ooh boy, are they the same movie.
Wow. Really getting to it, Jake.
Yeah, so I think there's this interesting comparison you can make between these two films when it comes to the idea of they're both, at least in some part, playing a trick on their respective audiences.
Yeah.
For some portion
yeah.
of their runtime. You know, we talked a little bit about it. I think with both of these, naturally. Is that like
I'm
a
alive.
bell?
It was an alarm of some kind, but I don't know from where. Maybe a fire alarm. That's a fine.
It's your David Spade meter.
Yeah.
I am going to burn this podcast to the ground.
If you won't, David Spade will.
And we talked about it a little bit last time that in and of itself is inherently like playing a trick on its audience to some extent. Like it is specifically crafted to draw empathetic responses from people. And conversely, like One Cut of the Dead, as Jake kind of explained in his just laying out what this film is it is a film masquerading as a film. It's masquerading as a film sort of thing. Like it is tricking its audience about what it is. And I think it's really interesting that these two films that are like chiefly hinge on kind of those quote unquote tricks end up in a matchup together. It's hard to say which one is more effective at what it does because I think they both, you know, play off their relative tricks really, really well. However, I think there is maybe some piece of the Jake psyche in this idea of, I don't want to say subversion. I don't know what word I want to use, but
Gaslight.
like, I don't know if either of these films necessarily make me think of gaslighting, or girl bossing for that matter. Actually, One Cut of the Dead has a little bit of girl bossing.
One Cut of the Dead definitely has some girl bossing.
I don't know. Anyway, it's a whole lot to essentially say that, like, I think there is something to this idea that both of these films are essentially playing a trick on their audiences, and like, what do you guys make of their respective tricks? What do you think is effective about each of them? You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. One Cut of the Dead, I think, is super effective. Like, it got me, right? We talked about it last time where, like, I did not finish the movie and I didn't get to the trick because I was like, man, this is a zombie movie. I'm 40 minutes in. I don't want to watch the rest of this. And I stopped it. Like, it got me, right? Like, that's the trick. Like, I really had no idea. And then on my second rewatch, it was wonderful because I got through it and then got to the explanation of like all those things in that movie that are like so weird and wacky in the like initial 30 minutes that like, why did they film it like this? And it's like, oh, that's why it's like this. So, I mean, I think One Cut of the Dead is phenomenal and plays a great trick. I think in and of itself, I think it's tough, right? I feel like magic and stage magic in particular is really hard to do well in film when you're supposed to believe like this actually happened on stage. And I'm sure that it did. Like, I'm sure this is an authentic show that happened and like these tricks were real and he did them. But like, they're so good and the filming is so specific and intentional, like the shots and the layout and everything, that, you know, it's like, it takes something away from it, you know, to be like, I'm not like there in person seeing it happen, you know, like there could be just like falsehood in the way that it was filmed. I don't believe that there was, but I still think it detracts.
So actually, and you're totally valid for thinking that, but I think that's part of the reasons why I love the film more, because I think it's intentional, especially because in the beginning, it has that disclaimer. In the beginning, he has a little speech being like, you do not have to believe any of this. You know, and that's like a tip for like, you know, obviously he's a stage magician, building up whatever, but it is also a film. He could have edited a bunch of stuff, like that final shot, again, spoilers, but that final shot where like the wall all of a sudden falls down at the end, easily edited to where like, you know, he wasn't doing the stage like shot audiences. A lot of that can, but I think the fact that he is setting it up, and you know, maybe this is a trick in and of itself.
Whoa! Oh my god!
Oh my god! but like he I think that's purposeful. I think he genuinely wants you to struggle with the fact that, I mean, for lack of a better term, it's kind of cheesy, but not everything is as it seems, and you kind of have to believe people when you look at them face value. Oh, what do you see when you look at someone? And when you're in a film, people can lie to you all the time. I mean, in fact, that's our job, to lie to you. And make you believe in something else. So I actually think it's super effective that they show it also as a film and people got to experience it as a stage show, because you once again have your perceptions of who that person is. The way it is shot, that is who you are viewing them. Every single person who talked about the letters, about the things they wrote in the journals, like, you have a perception of how it was shot. If it was shot with a bunch of spooky music and get going blah, like, you would have looked at that scene differently. It would not have impacted you the same way.
Yeah, like if you put the Saw soundtrack over like the story about the Rulatista, it takes a very different
a very different turn.
Because you start to think it's probably just Jigsaw.
I still do. I think also, like, I mean, look, even in those parts, I always think when I watch that,
like a spinning barrel of a gun.
I always think when I watch in and of itself, I'm like, people got to experience that stage show. There are animated parts in it. Like, there are parts where they totally don't show what's happening on stage, and I'm like, what is happening on stage? Because everything he's doing on stage is purposeful. So it's not like he's just sitting there telling a story. He's probably doing something too, and we don't get to see it. We just get to see what the film did. So I don't know. I could gush about that part of it. I think it's very purposeful and very beautiful. Just like the parts in One Cut of the Dead are very purposeful what they show you. Everything is purposeful what they show you. All their quote unquote mistakes in the first, the second, and even in the credits, where you see like all three versions of how this was filmed
laid together.
Once.
That's such an interesting idea in terms of what you guys were talking about in and of itself, that I feel like I didn't even fully consider is like that change of medium from like we talked about it a little bit last time, like the idea of adapting a stage show to film. But this is not, to Jake's point, simply a like literal filming of the stage show. It's not like the Disney Plus recording of Hamilton or something. That's just like, they stuck a camera on the stage.
Why would you bring that up? I'm so upset with that.
Because I'm illustrating like there's a difference between just like directly porting something from stage to screen, but then
mad at Hamilton for taking
like the alternative of you are porting this to screen. What can you do to facilitate like the best version of that experience, or like the most interesting version of it? I think in and of itself is probably most effectively viewed like as one of the members in the audience, but you do get a different experience watching the version of the film than you would in the.
I mean, it's cut together all those different shows as well. So that's pretty.
Which is very cool. It definitely. I agree. I think the best way to see the show is probably as a person in the room. But I do think the things that are added of like the animations and being able to see like all the different people come up with the book, like it works to validate the things that he asks the audience to trust him on in a very interesting and like very fascinating way.
Yeah. There is like this strange, maybe, like this idea of like the exercise in trust and the payoff that you get is actually like a big, similar to like the trick that is being played, is like a big piece of both of these. Like, as you talked about, Alex, sitting through that first 35 minutes of One Cut of the Dead, and then actually like sitting through the next, third of the movie, getting to the final third where they're actually rolling out or filming the first third you watched, is the payoff of that film is like all of those little things you saw before, the stumbling and dropping of the camera, the sound guy just kind of, I don't know, vibing like,
and it's like what I really love about One Cut of the Dead is that you get these first, 35 minutes or whatever. You watch this movie, and then you realize what the movie actually is, and it's like there's a massive loaded gun sitting on a table right in front of you, and it's going to go off right? Like this idea of like, oh, you've seen the movie, like you saw all these weird, crazy things happen, and then they just slowly introduce these little plot points that like hint at and explain so much of what's going to happen. I just think it's such a smart, well-written movie that is just so much fun.
Yeah, it's the it's like the Hitchcock quote, like the tension is built around there being a bomb underneath the table, and One Cut of the Dead goes about it in the interesting way of like they show you the explosion first and then it rewinds and has that building tension of like, where this is all going, how this is going to unfold, that there's going to be these weird pauses, that there's going to be the dropped camera, that there's going to be these somewhat strange performances sometimes. And like, it's how you get to experience like how we get there, which is such a unique perspective to shoot your film from. It's such a good bit.
Well, and what I think is so fascinating about it is that like, it is incredibly common for movies to do like a start you in the action and it like freeze frames in the middle of it. And it's like, this is how we got here. Bet you're wondering how like this happened. And then what One Cut of the Dead does that's so interesting is it goes through the whole action. Like it finishes the movie and it takes 30 minutes. Like that is such like a ballsy, gutsy move. And I think it's so fun. Hey, I got a real question though.
Yeah.
Change the conversation a little bit. David Spade is at in and of itself. What's his word? Who is David Spade?
Demon?
Comedian?
Do they have demon?
Lover?
God?
Poltergeist? Beelzebub?
Prophet?
I think Prophet might be it.
Prophet's pretty good.
Horseman? Herald?
Yeah.
Oh, I like Harold a lot. Harold is really good.
Harold might be fun.
What is he heralding?
I don't know. Or did he just pick a sign that says Harold?
I bet he did Adonis. I bet he just did Adonis.
Do we think, okay, backing it up, do we think David, because, tons of celebrities win, tons of, famous people win. Do we think David Spade went?
No. I think he said that was a crock of shit. I'm not going.
Yeah, I bet he wouldn't have.
I bet he would have joked way too hard. I bet he would have heckled. David Spade's a heckler.
Honestly, I believe
Right?
that.
David
There's something
Spade's
in
a
my
heckler.
bones that tells me that, like,
Yeah.
if David Spade went to your stand-up show, he would get a little too drunk and he would just yell shit at you.
And it'd be hurtful. Like, he would be mean. He would be mean.
We're going to get a cease and desist from David Spade.
David Spade is like a middle school bully. Like, he just feels... I don't know. Maybe it's because that's how tall he is, but like...
Damn,
Jesus,
dude.
Jake.
I'm doubling down on the
Going
David Spade
after David
hate.
Spade.
Hey, just wait till the Spade bracket. We'll have newfound appreciation when we rewatch Joe Dirt and then watch Tommy Boy.
Watch all of his movies be problematic. Watch every single one not age well. I
bet the Emperor's New Groove aged well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He can hide behind animation. Fine. As long as we don't see his hateable face.
you won't know,
Whoa.
how tall he is. If he's
Whoa.
animated.
Matthew,
Whoa,
why would
okay.
he say that?
Tough Cut respects the short kings.
Yeah.
David Spade is a whole separate concept.
He's a short, like, court jester. He's not a short king.
No, he's a short herald.
Harold.
Harold.
I'm ready to
Harold.
vote.
Something I'll say about these two movies beforehand, before we vote, is I think both of these movies also indicate that whole I am so excited to see people watch this movie for the first time in very different ways, obviously. But to me, they still are very fun and very thoughtful. It's just a matter of, kind of how you're feeling and then in that space and time. I mean, like we all feel different emotions all at once. And One Cut of the Dead just makes me so hopeful and giddy and fun about filmmaking and stuff that I love. And in and of itself makes me feel validated. And that's a big emotion to feel as well. And both of them cut the form in different ways. So I love it. I love genre films. So zombie comedy that's also about film. Great. Like magician kind of show that's like in a stage, like has all these gimmicks. Poof, sign me up. And David Spade isn't in any of these movies. So there's a lot of pros. and I just
And
needed
very
to
few cons.
very few cons. So I
Yeah,
need to lay that out for you guys before we get on here.
I think that these two movies are probably, and maybe Clue, are like probably my favorite. Oh, and Coherence. Okay,
They're all good
are probably
movies.
like
So you
my
hate the
favorite.
Muppets?
No. Are probably like my favorite examples of like the idea of like something that you just want to share with people you care about, or
Yeah.
like care about the opinions of, or want to share art with. Specifically honing in on One Cut of the Dead and in and of itself, like as you were talking about a little bit, Jake, like you shared One Cut of the Dead because it's just such a fun shtick. It's just such a cool movie to see what people think about it. And then, you know, in and of itself just has like this really powerful emotional resonance. So they're doing very different things. But like there is a really great value, or there is great value in sharing these types of experiences with people.
Mhm.
So I guess this is, I don't know, recommendation to the audience to share some movies you love with the people you care about in your life. You know,
Yeah.
Truly, yeah. Don't be afraid to
be vulnerable with your opinions.
Film is such a great tool to share with people, and just it's such a good litmus test of like who you're around and what they kind of like, and the people I surround myself with, at least.
And
Yeah.
look here, if you love David Spade, if
You
you know
love
Joe
Joe
Dirt
Dirt.
is your anthem movie,
If Joe
it
Dirt was
makes you
anyone's
cry
favorite
every
movie,
time.
I'm filing a restraining order.
But you
I'm
know what?
sure-
You're allowed to feel that. You're allowed to love Joe Dirt and David Spade, and audience, I forgive you.
I do too.
I don't think Jake does, but
Yeah, I'm
and
gonna.
we're not allowed to chastise him because it's his bracket. So sorry,
Yeah, I'm looking-
audience.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't call Jake on his shit right now.
Hell yeah, you'll get there. You'll get there. As soon as the Jake bracket is done, I know you're gonna come like shitting down my throat. Anyway, are we ready to? Now
Crack
that the
that
audience
baby
has
open.
that
That image.
in their head.
I do want to vote, and I can start us off. I am voting for One Cut of the Dead. I really, really like In and of Itself. I think it's really,
I'm glad.
really good. And I'm very glad you shared it with me. But at the end of the day, I think the content and the like themes and everything in One Cut of the Dead to me screams Jake. You know, like yeah, exactly, just like that.
Sorry, that was our fucking intern. Shut up, Jesus, man, this kid.
And I loved In and of Itself. I thought it was really good, but I think One Cut of the Dead to me is more Jake. So that's where I'm coming at it from.
All right,
Oh, it's so tough.
cut.
Podcast.
I think it's like the
At
sixth
gmail.com.
time you've made that joke this bracket.
Yeah. I honestly, something turned in my head, like gears turned. We say tough a lot. Like
Yeah.
it's one of our like top words that we say.
It's a big buzzword for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. You know, honestly, thank you for calling me on my overuse of the word.
No, I think it's apt because we named our fucking podcast it, so we can use it as much as we want.
Yeah, that's
That's
our
true.
word.
We could say the tough cut and podcast as many times as we want.
And
But those are the only
but
words.
that's
And
like
hop, that's- but
licensing
that's-
agreement.
That's from James Marston, gave us a little gift there when we first
Yeah.
started.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, you personal friend.
I wonder what we'll get from David Spade.
Probably like a dookie in a paper bag.
Lit on fire on our porch.
Yeah.
I think I am going to vote for In and of Itself.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I know I'm sorry, Jake, I couldn't make this easy for you.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's good.
I think for me, there is this idea of Jake, you are one of the most like open and validating people I have ever met. And this idea of tackling identity and like inward and outward validation and like trying to draw that empathy out of an audience, I think is something I see a lot of you in. Yeah. Which is not to say One Cut of the Dead isn't extremely special. It absolutely is. Like this is another one of those matchups that super for me could have been a finals matchup for like movies that define you. So
Damn. Matthew had that was good reasoning over there. really buttering me up.
I mean, I'm not trying to like.
Really.
You picked the movie you.
Yeah, no. I mean, I picked all the movies. I'm like, it's not. There's my
That's true.
stake is my existential, whatever. This is really tough. I think this one more than most is going to be one of those how I'm feeling today versus how I'm feeling tomorrow versus how I could feel in 2 weeks, sort of a deal.
Mm.
And at this point in my life, I think One Cut of the Dead is what I'm going to vote for to move on, to move forward. And look, both of these movies are some big ones, especially recently, that I've wanted to share with people. So audience, I know there's a lot of these movies on this list, and we say this often, but please go watch it. Go take a look if that's your sort of a thing. I think you'll find something really, really great out of it. And I do mean that wholeheartedly.
With that, we have our Jake Bracket finale lined up. It's going to be the Muppets versus One Cut of the Dead.
Fun.
Which is going to be awesome.
Fun-ass movies, both of them.
Man, imagine a Muppets One Cut of the Dead.
Dude, the possibilities are endless.
Ooh,
that'd be so good.
Anyway, so please, if you want to watch along with us, go watch those movies. They're so fun. Even with the bit spoiled of One Cut of the Dead, it's still great.
Again, the little things are what make it really great. We could spoil that movie and it's still great.
Yeah. With that, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, go ahead and rate and review it on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. Follow us on social media at ToughCutPod. Share today's episode.
I know it's low-hanging fruit, but I mean, I feel like we have to say David Spade, right?
Yeah.
Although I feel like this is a bad one to share with David Spade. We were so mean to him.
Yeah, wait. Well, I mean, are we afraid of David Spade?
Kinda.
Look,
he got big market power.
Does he?
Here's what I'll say.
Does he?
It's rare when a comedy has a message that is meaningful. And all-star cast supporting David Spade, who constantly harass and bully Joe Dirt, sporting a mullet and orphaned by his parents, so he starts out on a mission to find his parents who aren't worth finding. The story is narrated through a radio station with Dennis Miller as the host. 5 stars. Mark 2 years ago. This one is a masterpiece. So much positivity in one movie.
We're
one
in
of
the
those life-changing
Spade
movies.
We're back in the
For anyone
Spade
going through a
hole.
tough time in life. An absolute must